Remember, in the Revolutionary War, most of the indigenous people fought on behalf of the British because the British actually respected their treaties. And so when the Americans came into power, everything was ruined. Like, there was no longer a respect for any of the contracts, for any of the treaties that were signed. After scouting forces were demolished one after the other, he tried to follow a policy of conciliation. So basically, when the British left, the Indians kept fighting against, the indigenous communities kept fighting against the Americans on the frontier because they were like, well, fuck it, we're still gonna fight even though the British, we don't have them anymore. So they were fighting on the frontier, and this is when the militias and the American government were sending a lot of poor people to be the first people to get attacked, but also they were trying to send in militias to combat the native population that was fighting, and it wasn't working because the indigenous people knew the land. Henry Knox said, the Indians, being the prior occupants, possessed the right of the soil. His Secretary of State, Thomas Jefferson, said in 1791 that where Indians lived within state boundaries, they should not be interfered with, and that the government should remove white settlers who tried to encroach on them. Okay, so that was Thomas Jefferson that was saying that. But we move here. In 1800, there were 700,000 white settlers west of the mountains. They moved into Ohio, Indiana, Illinois in the north, into Alabama and Mississippi in the south. These whites outnumbered the Indians about 8-1. Jefferson now committed the federal government to promote future removal of the Creek and the Cherokee from Georgia. Aggressive activity against the Indians mounted in the Indiana Territory under Governor William Henry Harrison. So Thomas Jefferson at first was like, let's leave these people alone, and eventually he bought in. When Jefferson doubled the size of the nation by purchasing the Louisiana Territory from France in 1803, thus extending the western frontier from the Appalachians across the Mississippi to the Rocky Mountains, he thought the Indians could move there. He said they should be encouraged to trade with whites, to incur debts, and then to pay off these debts with tracts of land. Two measures are deemed expedient. First, to encourage them to abandon hunting. Secondly, to multiply trading houses among them, leading them thus to agriculture, to manufactures, and civilization. For Jefferson, Indian removal was necessary for the opening of the vast American lands to agriculture, to commerce, to markets, to money, to their development of the modern capitalist economy. It's all about money. Always about money.